This week on The Loud Quiet, kids showing empty nesters new experiences. Hey everybody, welcome back to The Loud Quiet. Are you finding that your kids are exposing you to new things and new ideas?
Yeah, we were with Teagan this weekend in Tucson. Well, part of the weekend. It was her 21st birthday. And so we quickly did a trip out there and then got
Wait, hang
back.
on. We took a trip?
I know, yeah. Shocker. And for those of you who have been with us for the past few years, Teagan's birthday, since the age of 6, when she started requesting, it came out of nowhere. She wanted a strawberry cake in the shape of the number of the year that she was. So from 6 up until this year was 21, I have made a strawberry cake with strawberry icing in the shape of the number. So this was the 3rd year of cakes on a plane because we have now had to take it to Tucson. And yes, I had the little cake carrier with the 21 on the plane, and we took it out to Tucson.
That was actually a chapter in the original
Yeah, it
book.
is, yes. Chapter 32, I think it is, in the book. So if you'd like to read about the first cakes on a plane,
head over to The Loud Quiet and you'll be able to get a path to purchasing the book there.
Yeah, or you can just head on to Amazon, and it's on Amazon as well. So yeah, so we did that this weekend. On the way back, we were talking about, she's really shown us some new things. And this trip, we got to do something that was really, really cool.
That would never be on
No.
a list of things that you would say, hey, let's go to see our child. Let's go take a trip to, let's go choose this. It was wheelchair basketball.
Yeah.
And not just wheelchair basketball. This was the national championships for wheelchair basketball.
It was basically the Final Four. Yes. And Teagan has one of her classmates who has become one of her friends, told her last week, she said, hey, it's the Final Four. We're playing. Arizona was hosting because they were the champions last year, the women's team. And I think the men's team they're very, very good. This team has, and we've seen them in the airport several times. And so her friend said, we're playing next Thursday. If, you want to come. And Teagan said, oh my gosh, my parents are coming. She said, they would love to come to this. And so when she called us and asked us, we're like, yeah, we want to go.
It was the shortest I think it's ever gone. I mean, we talk a lot about say yes. This may have been one of our fastest say yeses.
To say this was incredible to watch, it was something like nothing I've ever seen. I mean, you think that your kids' sports are competitive and athletic. This was another level.
I like the way you say, because the athleticism is something that I took away from this that really surprised me. Because, of course, those of us that are not experienced in wheelchair basketball are thinking, you're only using half your body, or all the kind of things that might weave into your mind in a wrong way. And while some of that may physically be true, the intensity of the athleticism was stunning. The speed with which they were navigating themselves in their chairs, the ability to stop on a dime, to turn, to be able to take a shot. It's hard enough to make a basketball shot, but then add the complexity of having the motion of your chair taking you forward, backward, sideways, and still being able to put that ball to the hoop.
I mean, it was incredible to just
I was thinking
be
about
a spectator.
Yeah, and I was thinking about a description for this that would help kind of the theater of the mind. And there's a Mad Max element to this sport of it looks like vehicular chaos. The collisions that are taking place. But I don't want you to think of it all the way into like a demolition derby comical sort of way.
No.
These were crafted. These were calculated. They were strategic in how they would box in. 2 athletes would come together and box in another athlete, preventing her from moving down the court in a way that at first we were like, wait, why are they all in this section, well, it was because they were trapped because of the
Uh-huh.
strategy of blocking with your chairs.
I mean, it was just amazing to watch, and we were just getting so into it. And yeah, I mean, Teagan couldn't wait to see her friend this week and just tell her how in awe we all were watching it. And I mean, we were on such a high. Her Arizona did not win, unfortunately, but we were still all just on such a high because it was just unreal to watch. I don't know how they don't lose their hands.
Oh,
that is just, I mean,
that the hands alone aren't just sandpaper, and then the fingertips aren't just absolutely gone from working with spokes and everything that's there. There was something that I said, and I don't remember the exact wording of it, but I remember saying, that I almost felt guilty calling out an athlete when they did. And I'm not the type, I don't mean literally calling out and yelling ugliness to the court, but in my mind thinking, oh man, they did a bad job there, that sort of stuff. And I think it was either you or Teagan said, they want to be treated like any other athlete. And I knew that with my head. It was just weird that feeling of not being willing to think of some sort of play as being a negative play or anything like that. Well, that's totally unfair. Nuh-uh. These are athletes, and they showed themselves to be athletes.
Well, and I was even talking about, there's different degrees of states of, what your injuries are, that, why the reasons you're in your wheelchair. And it describes each one in the little rule book, and, they can only add up to a certain amount on the floor at each time. Like Teagan's friend.
It's a point system.
Yeah, like Teagan's friend,
1.2,
one of her legs is, she can't use it very well. And so she's this grade. And so when we were talking, I said, I bet when those kids were younger, if they were, had these injuries when they were younger, it's probably like when we would be on the soccer field and you'd have one parent on the other team going, oh, no, that kid looks older than that kid. There's probably some parent going, oh, no, wait a second. I think that kid is a 1.5, not a 1.0. Right. I bet they probably deal with the same exact things that.
So you think that parents are a-holes regardless of the sport?
Oh, I guarantee. I would imagine. I mean, they had to make an announcement. No. There will be no cussing behind the benches. And, it was the students, the Zona Zoo had come, like that's the little student section. I was like, oh my goodness, it's the college
We
kids.
are not going to be spewing obscenities at the other team's bench.
It wasn't even the other, they were sitting behind the Arizona team. I was like, they're behind their own team. They're just college kids talking.
It reinforced, though, that normalization of this is a sport. Sure, it's unique, but it is still a sport, and it is a sport filled with fierce athletes.
Yeah. So that was incredible, and I'm so glad that she has that friend in her class. That would have been something that, we would have never gotten to experience. Then we, took her out to dinner. The next day, she had some friends coming in from California. This goes into another thing that we never dealt with growing up.
Well, some of it never dealt with it growing up is because there wasn't the technology.
It wasn't available, yes.
These are her online friends. And that is a sentence that I initially certainly made us very cautious. And I still think there's a responsibility of a parent to be cautious when you're younger kid.
Yes.
And we're now talking about our adult kid, but these were friends that she met when she was younger, to be very cautious about, okay, well, that's fine, but what are y'all talking about? Yeah. What name, have you shared any information? And all of that sort of checked out. Well, she developed a relationship with these friends over years. Yeah.
And I will say, when she was younger and there was a friend that lived locally that they had met online and they were going to visit, we did put in the caveat that a parent did go with them, and we did take her out in the front yard and teach her how to use her mace in case anything.
That's right.
And so I will put that in there.
Not associated with this trip yet, however, that was very true.
But that
we
was,
were doing that.
when she was younger. So these were her friends that at the end of last semester, she said, "Oh, I'm going to go to California this summer and meet my online friends in person." And you and I were like, "Oh, okay." And she was like, "We've transferred now to phone and text." They had moved off of online. She had photos, which, okay, that's somewhat proof of life, but still.
You're not quite there.
Yeah. Then we got into, okay, she was going with one of her friends from here, and the mom was going.
I
And
was
we were
waiting
like,
to get to there was a parent
okay,
going.
yes. Then we were like, and the mom was not going to be with them, but she was going to California to visit her friend in the same city. So we said, okay, yes.
And that's like, we're talking about kids that are exposing us to things that just weren't a part of our world. I guess, I have a modern day equivalent for us as adults, but just staying in the kid world, the closest would have been if you had a pen pal.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And back then, it's not like you were really getting on a plane or a bus to go.
I realize when I think about this that it's not as odd as I think I might have originally thought it was. And that's because so much of the work world, many of my colleagues when I was in the consulting business, I'll use present tense. I have never met them in person, and yet I feel like I know them. And it's one of those novel experiences when you do get to meet them in person. And so that's what they got to do. This new exposure for us was a first for us to get to meet her California friends.
Yes. So they had told Teagan they wanted to come to Arizona. They had never been to Arizona. And they said, "Oh, we want to come for your birthday. And, we want to meet your parents." And so we were like, great. Nicest kids. I mean, just great kids. So sweet, very kind, just wonderful. I mean, so much to say about them. Just super nice. Everything that you would want your kids' friends to be.
You would just want them to be co-located so they could spend more physical time with each other.
And she's going out to California to see them in a couple of months. But I mean, just great kids.
Now, one of the kids did surprise us with an experience. We got to have a little bit of a fan photo. So one of Teagan's friends sent a picture of him actually buying the book and excitedly showing that to Teagan.
So, this is kind of funny because just as I am a stalker of people, anytime any of our children got a new friend, got a new girlfriend, anything, or boyfriend, I was always looking them up on Instagram. So Teagan's,
and not just looking about Instagram. And this, you were a private investigator.
So Teagan's friend found me on Facebook, and he said, "Oh, I think I found your mom." And she said, "Oh, yeah, that's her." Then he said, "Oh, I think I found your dad." And he said, "Wait, your parents have written a book?" And then he told her, he said, he sent her a picture because he had ordered it and he was holding the book. And so, he brought it and wanted us to sign it. It was so neat. That was fun. And then one of the girls that came, her mom, when they got to the Airbnb and Teagan went over there, and her mom said, "I need you to take a picture of Teagan and send it to me," because her mom didn't get to see Teagan when she went to California. And so the girl said, "Okay, Mom," and she did. And she said, "I think my mom's been listening to your parents' podcast too," because she had looked up to see who we were too. So, it goes both ways. Kids look up kids and parents look up kids.
So what we're finding is that we thought that it was all empty nesters that were going to enjoy the loud quiet. It's actually the kids of empty nesters. That'll be the separate podcast.
But super great kids. We're so glad that we got to spend. We didn't get to be with her on her birthday, which
really
was kind of hard. That was the first birthday and first Easter that we haven't been with her. I did take her Easter basket out there. So we flew back on her birthday so that we could get back here and do Easter with Tanner and his girlfriend and her family, because we're doing our family's Easter next weekend. Another thing that we're talking is that Tanner has kind of reopened my eyes to music that I really enjoyed back in my, I'd say, early 90s.
Kind of your college and your young adult
late
days.
high school, early college.
Yeah.
And I guess, And so, the EDM music that he really loves, electronic dance music, house music, club music. And that's been really fun. And now what I like is that there are specific venues that only play this music. Back in my day, you had to go on certain nights to the clubs that would have
what were some of those nights here in Dallas? Come on, I know there's people that know
all the list.
The church.
Oh, the church was, a little darker, but
Was Lizard Lounge one of those?
Lizard Lounge was one of them, but they played all kinds of music. But
well, and we even had an episode about that. I mean, empty nesters go to a rave. So I'll go if you're watching on YouTube, there's a card above there you can click and go listen to the empty nesters go to a rave, or I'll put it in the show notes.
And we've been listening. He's been doing a DJ set for I think we've talked about for his university, and so we've been listening to that on Monday nights, and it's just fun that he's brought that back up. I mean, I have my CDs in the media room across the hall of my house music,
and in general, just how kids are bringing us into their music has opened my eyes to bands and artists, and even just types of music that I would not have heard. One of the, I guess for lack of a better term, I'll call it musical, but it's almost like a extended opera, really. It's called Epic the Musical, and it's all about Odysseus, and it has all of these different sagas. I think it's 9 different sagas that some artists just created and put on YouTube and gained notoriety through that, and not just in sort of the virality sort of way. It's really good and has become something. I would have never heard of that, or Jiraiya or Bear Ghost or any of the bands that she's into.
And now they're all the video games that they used to play as kids are now coming to the opera houses and doing symphonies. She and her friend went to the Sonic Symphony. Well, now Tanner got her for her birthday Undertale, which was a game that they played, when they were much younger. And so he got her tickets for her birthday to that symphony. And, he said, and we're going to dress up. Here's the 23-year-old future lawyer and the, college senior.
Who's going to be a school counselor.
Yeah.
And these,
and
these
he was like, do you want to dress up? And she was like, at first, I think she was like,
really?
Oh, you want to dress up? And she was like, oh, okay. And I love when she loves it. She loves when she can tell her friends when they ask about her brother, because, she's like, yeah, he was in a fraternity, he's in law school, but he likes video games. He's taking me to Undertale. We're going to dress up. She loves that she can tell them how well-rounded he is.
And that's something that has been exciting to see. And I think that's part of why we get to still learn from them, is because all that well-roundedness, there's a lot of extended of that sphere that brings us in. You mentioning the symphony ones, I want to talk about that a second. I don't think that video game music, and even just sort of video games as an art, got, I'm going to say past tense, the credibility that I believe they are getting now. If you think about some of the games we played, there's still music that I bet you could hum if you really thought about it.
Sure, but do. But but now it's more, I'd say it's got more melodic behind it.
That's some 8-bit music that is all the technology was capable of doing.
Did anyone know what I was just humming? If you knew.
Oh, let's not even say it. If you know what Clancy just hummed.
Or doo-doo-did. I don't know.
It's not really. That's like, I love that. If you know what that is, would you drop it in, either reach out to us directly through the website, The Loud Quiet, or head over to the Facebook page or group and put the comments. Oh, that's fun. Let's see who all knows that. It all has to start somewhere. I mean, heck, music started with banging on rocks at some point, and it evolved into what it is now. And it is something that can truly be felt in a symphonic and an operatic sort of way. I mean, Teagan and her friend came out of that Sonic show not emotional in the sense of tears or anything like that, but just as
Oh, yeah.
emotionally stirred
Mhm.
as you and I might have been leaving a
Yeah.
concert of one of our favorite, uh, you rock artist or jazz artist or a great, beautiful symphony.
Well, I think that's music in general. I mean, I told you the other day, I was driving to meet my friend to walk in the morning. I don't even know what song was on, but whatever song it was, and it happened to be at the time that all the elementary school kids were going to school, and I see them running around the corner with their backpacks on, and I mean, I started tearing up, and I'm sure it was a mix of the song that was on. It music just stirs
Yeah.
emotions, happy, sad. I mean, when we see Tanner after he's been to one of his shows at Silo, he's just so
Mhm.
energized and wants to talk about it and show us videos. I mean, it just stirs up emotions that I don't know. I mean, you can get those emotions when you watch a movie, you can get those emotions when you read a book, but I think music just does something different to
Totally.
your brain
Totally.
that than any of the other creative outlets.
Yeah. It somehow stirs in your soul. And
Mm.
that's where I mentioned the credibility that video games have, that this musical artistry is there. Well, you mentioned the music and the movies and the books, the storytelling capability inside of games, and just the visual artistry is something that has been in. Oh, I'm going to use reintroduce. You know how you talked about EDM? It brought
Mm,
you as a reminder back to some of your old ones. Well, the kids through
mhm,
their highlighting of the Zelda franchise. Well, that's what I played back when I had my little
mm.
Nintendo. But the last two Zelda games, well, that's something that they have. I can't say that they exposed me to it because I already knew Zelda, but bringing me back into gaming through that, it is a level of creativity that is impossible for me to describe on an audio podcast, but it is completely absorbing to the point that one of the games I would tell you that there'd be times that I wasn't actually doing anything in the game other than just air quote here hiking around the game like
Mhm,
you would hike anywhere else. And it
mhm.
was the kids that brought me back into
Yeah.
that.
And I would say too, y'all, because Tanner is back here and he is into hockey, his girlfriend's into hockey, y'all are all Tegan is now into hockey, so y'all are all going to the hockey game this weekend. So that's another one that's kind of back from the
It
past.
has reinvigorated because yeah,
Uh-huh.
you and I had season tickets when we were young
Yes.
adults, and now our
And
kids are
now
bringing us
you
back.
have other people to go with.
You mean you don't want to go to
No,
New
I
Year's
do not.
Eve hockey
No,
game again?
no. I don't want to go on Saturday either.
You are missing out, but I'm not going to have that debate with you here.
When we were talking about music and it's stirring emotions, I was thinking about when we would visit your mom
Mhm.
in the memory care and how they would always play music from their generation and that kind of thing. Talking about the video games, I wonder if they will have when our, somewhat our generation, but really our kids, I wonder if that will be something that is available for them when
Oh,
they
that'd be interesting.
get into
Yeah.
that phase because the ones that do spend so much time in
Yeah.
that, I
As
wonder if that would be something that would be a brain stimulator, bringing back memories for them.
it'll be interesting because as your body is less capable, heck, there are games that they play that I
Well,
just
right,
physically
yeah,
can't keep up with. Their
sure.
reaction time is different
Mhm.
than mine. And
But I'm sure there's
the
ones out
immersive
there that
capability of dropping, say, a VR goggle or whatever it'll be an
mhm.
implant by the time we're in those kind of communities. where it is that kind of level immersive, and you just get to go kind of re-experience and tap back into your world in that way. Yeah, that'll be interesting.
I know. Yeah. I just thought of that. All right.
Starting a new segment this week called The Things That Make You Go,
Something to think about in the future.
What have your kids brought to you? What have your kids taught you? I mean, we have a few that we were just thinking of just impulsively coming out of this trip. But if you've got others that you'd want to share it out there on the Facebook group. We would love to bring that into a future episode. So yeah, wrapped up the beginning of April, wrapped up Easter. Thanks y'all for listening to another episode of The Loud Quiet.